Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Woodsville Monroe Central Football Hall of Fame induction ceremony. As my partner stated, my name is Cole Harrelson, Monroe Central class of '96. I had the privilege of playing in the program from '92 to '95, and it is my distinct honor to stand up here tonight and recognize some of our true program greats. Over the last 55 years, our football program has been among the premier programs in the Ohio Valley, not only in terms of wins and losses, but also in the first-class manner in which we conduct ourselves, the way we care for our field and facilities, and perhaps most importantly, our community support. No one supports their football team like we support our Knowles. We've always honored our past, supported our present, and planned for our future. Tonight we come together to honor our past by recognizing some of the very best to ever put on the uniform for Woodsville and Monroe Central, as we welcome the class of 2025 into the Hall of Fame. I'm going to call up one of our honorees this evening, Gabe Gordon, to deliver the invocation. Gabe?
Great. Father, thank you for this evening. Thank you for everyone here. Thank you for the chance to honor those who have played in the past. Lord, pray that you bless this evening, bless the food of our body, bless our conversation that would honor you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thanks, Gabe. All right, we just want to recognize a few distinguished guests. Former Redskin and Seminole head football coach, 336 victories, head coach Jace Costa. Representing the sideliners over here to my left, your right, we've got Joe HOF. And then we've got several class of 2024 Hall of Famers here tonight. If you're a class of 2024 Hall of Famer, please stand up and be recognized. And then, of course, tonight's honorees, guys, how about stand and be recognized? Class of 2025, please. So there's a lot of hard work that goes into this Hall of Fame. There's a lot of research that goes into it in selecting candidates, narrowing the candidates down to actual nominees. That's a process that probably begins right after the holidays in January, and it's culminating tonight. So I just want to recognize my fellow committee members. We've got on the Hall of Fame board, we've got John Kaiser, John Bolton in the back. Not with us tonight is Chris Dalrymple. We've got Curtis Nixon, one of our honorees. 2024 Hall of Famer Lance LaFollette. We call him our junior advisor. This guy, he's a current player, and he has just really dove headfirst into the history of the program. He can tell you any stat from any year, any jersey number. Jet Kaiser. Of course, we got our senior advisor, Coach Jonathan Calder. And our treasurer, our money man, Harley Pye. All right, a couple quick admin notes before we get going here. If you haven't paid Lance yet, Lance, where are you at? If you haven't paid Lance your $10 yet, please get with him before you leave. If you need to get up and take pictures of your presenter or your nominee, please feel free to do that. Get up and move about to get a good shot. Coach Calder, I'm going to put you on the spot. Did we turn the camera on? Okay. We can edit that part out. All right. We're going to do a helmet auction. We're going to take a couple intermissions as we go here. During the second intermission, we're going to auction this helmet. So if you haven't got a good look at it yet, it's a split Redskin Seminole helmet, and all the Hall of Famers from last year and this year have signed it. So we'll take care of that at the second intermission, but be thinking about your bid. All right, and then last admin note is this. Our good friends at Jostens are taking care of the rings. My friend over here, John Kaiser, put the rings on order first week of July. We were supposed to have them by the last week of August. And long story short, no rings. So inductees, before you leave here tonight, please get with John Kaiser. Jostens is going to directly mail your rings to you. So John needs your address in order to make that happen. Fair enough? All right, here we go. Let's see. Where are we at? Lance LaFollette. We're going to get a few words from Lance to welcome in the class of 2025 here. Lance.
Well, good evening. Thank you. I was asked to make a few opening remarks before we get to the task at hand, and that's honoring some of the all-time Woodsfield and Monroe Central High Schools football players. I like to talk, and it's always an honor for me when I get to talk about football. So we all like to talk about our playing days, sharing the memories, whether they were on game night. We talk about two-a-days. When we get together, we talk about everything. Last night, I sat over a beer and listened to 5 guys who played way before or way after I did. They took turns sharing their stories. And I felt like I was in the huddle with them. I could hear their voice, I could hear the excitement when they got to talking about when they played, they did this and that. I could see it in their eyes. That's what it's all about. It's the beauty of playing the sport we all loved. It's a brotherhood. We had no clue when we were playing how long and deep-seated those memories would stay. I don't know, I've been out 45, 46 years, something like that, and I can tell you so much. I can tell you about plays and different things, so it's pretty crazy. And I'm sure everyone in here has their own story from their playing days or their coaching days. I hope as the evening progresses that we can all enjoy some of those memories, share a smile or a tear. I'm sure we will. Congratulations, gentlemen. Thank you.
All right, quickly here, I just want to tell you a little bit about the nomination and voting process. So the nomination and voting process involved the Hall of Fame board researching news articles, statistics, and interviewing peers and coaches of potential candidates. And then after scrutinizing credentials, the board narrowed down the nominees, and in order to maintain parity, account for evolution of the game, and avoid recency bias, the nominees were categorized into eras. So we have the 1950s and 60s, the 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, 2010s, then we have a coaches category and a contributors category. In order to be nominated, a player must be at least 10 years removed from playing in his final game. From there, the ballots are mailed out to all the Woodsfield High School Monroe Central Football Alumni Committee members, the current head football coach, past head coaches, all assistant coaches who have at least 10 accumulated years on the coaching staff, the sideliner officers, and current Hall of Fame members. The top 2 vote getters in each category to earn at least 30% of the votes in each era are our honorees this evening. And just a quick trivia note, I did some math the other night. Football resumed in Woodsfield after a 13-year layoff in 1958. So of our 415 modern era victories, the players who are being inducted tonight have been involved in 275 wins. That's a lot of wins. So we'll get down to business here with our first inductee. Our first inductee is number 11, Bud Klein. Bud is no longer with us. Just to give you a few shots here from Bud's bio, then we have a letter from his daughter. Bud played for Woodsfield High School from the season football resumed in 1958 through 1961. Bud was the modern era's first true star. He was a full-time starter at fullback for 3 seasons. Bud played under coaches Jim Hardesty and Dwayne Burton and was a versatile player who, in addition to fullback, also logged time at center his freshman year. While Bud's teams didn't experience success on the field in terms of wins, Bud had individual successes. Because stats from those days either were not kept or they were lost to time, most of his accomplishments were pieced together through newspaper articles. Bud's teams compiled an overall record of 9 wins, 23 losses, and 1 tie. And in an era where 3 yards in a cloud of dust was the offensive philosophy, Bud scored a total of 21 touchdowns, 8 two-point conversions. Bud was named to the Pioneer Valley League first team in 1961 and was also named the team MVP that same year. In a story shared on the Thursday Night Hero podcast, Bud's teammate Steve Weber shared, during the last game of the season, Bud was within striking distance of the Ohio Valley single-season rushing record. Near the end of the game, Bud busted loose for a 90-yard touchdown run that would have given him the record, except poor Steve was flagged for a block in the back. So Bud didn't get the record. But it was a topic of good-natured ribbing between the two of them for the rest of Bud's life. Yet another example of how football forges lifelong bonds through good times and bad. Unfortunately, we lost Bud on July 5th of 2019, but his daughter Samantha asked us to share this letter. I'm deeply grateful for the induction of my father, James Bud Klein, into the Woodsville Monroe Central Football Hall of Fame. Though I'm unable to attend tonight, I wanted to express my heartfelt appreciation for recognizing Dad's achievements and his performance during his time at Woodsville High School. Dad was a remarkable individual who made a lasting impact, not only on the football field, but in his day-to-day life as well. I'm proud to say my dad would be ecstatic for this honor. The stories he shared with me, he credited his coaches and teammates for making him the player he became. I do more than just remember. I give life to my father's legacy, allowing it to inspire and impact generations to come. In celebrating his journey, we keep his essence alive forever, embedding his stories in the hearts of those he touched. Thank you for the opportunity to share. God bless Bud's daughter, Samantha Klein Shaner. Our next inductee of the night is among the living, but he's not with us tonight. That is number 20, Tim McGorrian. Tim played in the program from 1973 to 1976, and his career was bookended by undefeated seasons in 1973 and 76. In 76, he was a star among stars as he rushed for 1,133 yards, scored 14 touchdowns, kicked four field goals as he led those Redskins to a 10-0 record and an Associated Press state championship. Tim was honored as the 1976 PBC Back of the Year, first team All-OVAC, second team All-Ohio, and was invited to represent the Redskins in the 1977 OVAC All-Star Football Game. Tim currently resides in the Salt Lake City, Utah area and is a general manager for a major commercial transportation company. Again, unfortunately, Tim had a prior commitment this evening that precluded him from attending. Ladies and gentlemen, number 20, Tim McGorrian. Now I think we have an inductee who's with us tonight. So now in the contributor category, our next inductee is Jerry Calder. Jerry is originally from Martins Ferry and a 1966 graduate of St. John Central High School. Jerry became a district employee in 1970 and immediately integrated into the community and has been a fixture around the football program for over 55 years, and during that time has worn many hats: coach, sideliner, and videographer. Here to induct Jerry Sugar Bear Calder is his son, my friend, head Seminole football coach Jonathan Calder.
It is my distinct privilege to stand before you today to present my dad, Jerry Calder, for induction into the Woodsville and Monroe Central Football Hall of Fame as a contributor. This is not only a celebration of a career, but a tribute to a legacy built on passion, vision, and unwavering dedication to the sport that we all love. Football has many heroes, those who score goals, make the tackles, and light up the stadiums with their talent. But behind every great game and every great athlete, there are those whose work off the field shapes the very foundation of the Seminole football program. My dad is one of those rare individuals whose influence has been felt by many of these young men without coaching a single game. For decades, he has been dedicated and a faithful fan, father, and sideliner. He has been a part of the program for over 50 years in some form or fashion. He has been involved in many sideline projects, the 200 Club, and really anything Coach Acosta asked of him. But perhaps his greatest contribution has been the memories he has provided. Since 1990, you have all seen my dad on the sidelines, at practice, in the field house, or at the many team functions with the camera in his hand. He brought one here today. For 35 years, he has spent countless hours filming, watching film, picking out songs, going to St. Clairsville to edit, to give the football players one of the greatest gifts you could give, the highlight films. The highlight films are just that, highlights. But more than anything, they are a lifetime of memories that the players can pass down to their younger generations. And he has done all this without his son playing since 1993. He does it for the love of the program. Today, as we honor my dad, we also honor the ideals that make football more than just a game. We celebrate those who give of themselves so others may thrive. It is with immense pride and heartfelt gratitude that I present my dad, Jerry Culver.
Holy shit, you expect me to talk after that? I can't even see. I got stuff written out, but I can't see it. Thank you, Jonathan. That was very, very nice. And let me say, I'm proud of you for keeping up your grades and attendance so you can coach this year. You know, one of probably the best song that I ever used for the highlight film is this song by Rod Stewart called Forever Young. And, you know, that's what I think of these guys that are like tonight going into the Hall of Fame. To me, they're forever young. And I'm sure you've all seen a movie scene where the camera starts with a picture of Earth and from space, and it starts to get closer and closer. You can see the continents, you can see the countries, you can see the United States, and it keeps getting further and further down. You can see the United States and Ohio, southeastern Ohio, and finally it gets to Woodsfield. Of all the places in the world, fate has brought us here tonight, and I'm happy and proud to be getting this recognition for something that has been such a big part of my life. Fate is what happens to all of us through choices in life, in our control and out of our control. The outcome as we reach old age is something we can look back on as both good and bad. So let me give you a backstory into my fate. And you guys only have to talk about your life for 4 years in high school. I got 60 years I got to talk about. So give me a break.
Oh, no, Jerry.
You won't have to take a shower, though, before you're done. As long as I can remember, football's been one of my favorite memories. My brother-in-law played for St. John's. He was 10 years older than me. So when I was 5 and 8 through 8, he played high school for St. John's. They had a great team. I enjoyed going to see him and getting a feel for the game. After he and my brother then went to Ohio State, I went to see several football games at OSU. And I was enthralled with the pageantry and the spectacle as much as the game itself when I was at Ohio State. And you think about our games, what it's like on Friday night. You know, the horse, the spear, the teepee, the kids running in. You know, it's all part of what makes football special. My brother-in-law then, once he graduated, he started helping coach a team that I played for at St. Mary's in Martins Ferry. He put me in the backfield as a fullback, and it was awesome to play in other schools and run people over. Some of my best friends and best memories happened because of those 6 years that I played football in junior high and high school. After graduation, I didn't go to OSU like my father, brother, and brother-in-law. I didn't even go away to school because in high school, I didn't get the best grades in the world. I was interested in football, cars, and girls, and not always in that order. So I went to High University Eastern, and fate stepped in again. The next journey in my life brought me together with a young girl from Woodsfield, who also went to OUE. It's ironic that the first time I ever came to Woodsfield, I swore I'd never come back. My friend was dating a girl from Woodsfield. He wanted me to go to a party that Sharon Yoss was having. I said, yeah, okay, I'll drive. Well, we drove from Martins Ferry to Barnesville, and I said, where in the hell is this place? He said, you're the best part of the road to go yet. So we finally get to Woodsfield, and we go to Sharon's house on Eastern Avenue, and I thought, thank God. Then I find out that the party is in the woods at an old cabin down in Richport. And I said, oh my God, this is like Deliverance. For those of you who will never know what that reference is. But now I've lived my whole adult life in Monroe County. And if I had $1 for every time I drove 800, I could buy a new car. I started teaching in '70. My interview was in a car ride out to Skyview. At Baker's Farm Equipment, the highway turned into a gravel road. And it was another oh shit moment. But I thought, where are we going? So we finally get out there in the country, and I meet the new principal, Paul Ring. He was in the band room. Some kid pulled the fire alarm, and we had to go outside for my interview. On the way back to Woodsfield, Mr. Dumas said, well, what did you think? And I said, well, it's out in the country, but I'm sure I'll enjoy getting involved with football. He said, oh, there's no football team, only basketball. And I said, what are you talking about? There's no school in Ohio that doesn't have football. So the first year I watched Woodsfield High School football, saw Bob Butts constantly run a little guy by the name of Mark Henthorne. Did any of you remember that? That's when fate kicked in again. Art Hare got me involved in a manhunt for an escaped prisoner. He pulls up in a Volkswagen in front of the little house across from the Duke where Sharon and I were renting with some shotguns and two guys I met for the first time, Jay Sarcosta and C.L. Straw. Needless to say, that whole experience was like the Keystone Cops, hilarious and sad. After Jay got the head football job in 1972, he asked me to be on his staff. I was on his staff for 2 years, and then I coached junior high football with Bob Palazak. What experience that was. They were all wonderful memories, though. Fate stepped in again when Ed Bodie asked me to coach basketball at Skyview. So I was coaching against the same kids that I coached at Woodsfield, from football to basketball. So I quit coaching football and concentrated on basketball. I always thought maybe I made a mistake on that, but then again, I have very fond memories of coaching kids like Junior Winland, Bob Hardy, Carl Robinson, Roger and Roy Hyman, Jack Lager, Smokey Kendall, Matt Hilberding, Mitch Hannes, and many, many more. What kind of football players would they have been? They would have been fun to watch, wouldn't they? Over the years, I stayed very connected, though, to the football program. I did some scouting for Jay. I spotted in the press box with Denny Eastling. That was a hoot. I played music over the loudspeaker. I started the tradition of Let's Get Ready to Rumble and played the celebration song after I went in the locker rooms. I hosted the Coach's Corner with Jay on a few years. As my kids got older, they got into sports, which drew me into coaching at Woodsfield. My beautiful daughter played basketball and volleyball. So I got into coaching junior high girls basketball under Coach Rich Kiefner. I have great memories from those years, especially taking the girls to summer basketball camp at John Carroll University. I had some fun coaching Christy Clymer, Missy Kaler, Marcia Eddy, Vicki Chrisman, Allison Turner, and three that really kept me on my toes, Sherry Morton, Abby, and Teddy Reesbeck. Always had to watch for snuff on the bus after that. Looking back, I realized that Krista was a good athlete, and I hope she had good memories of those years too, like I did. When my boys were young, Kenny Robinson started Pee Wee Wrestling. That was a whole new experience for me. My hat goes off to wrestlers. If you want anxiety, watch your kid wrestle one-on-one on a wrestling match. But as they get older, they get into football, and that's where my heart was, and that's where I felt most comfortable. I soon realized that both of them were better than I was. I think growing up playing backyard football with John Kaiser and Stephen Hare and Troy Baker and Johnny Knowlton, that made them tough. They were always out there playing football. Fate stepped in again in 1987 when Daniel started high school football and I joined the sideliners. I could see right away that it was a great organization because Jay ran it like his football team with organization and attention to detail. He attracted many good men to not only join but stay with him for years. It's sad to think that we're missing so many guys like Larry Taylor, Kenny Robinson, Fred Klein, Walter Kemp, Jeff Waddell, Todd Baker, Gary Loveday, Dave Hamilton, and Don Longwell. Don especially was Jay's right-hand man, a super fan, and also a good friend. We worked for the kids, but I had hundreds of wonderful memories. I can still remember Cheryl Kaler saying, "Larry, if they come back from Columbus with one more story about you, you're not allowed to go anymore." In 1987, Jay decided it was time to get out of the swimming pool and build a field house. So, I don't know how many it was, 20 of us or so, Jay, signed a note at the bank for like $1,000 a piece, something like that. And we got started building a field house. What a glorious time that was with classic stories. Over the years, being in the sideliners meant putting in time, money, effort into projects besides the field house, like new lights, new fence, new bleachers, new sound system, new scoreboard, field drainage system, a rain train, press box, new uniforms, trips, foods, drink, charter buses, field paint, lawn, all kind of things. If we didn't pay for it, nobody would have had it because the school didn't pay for those things. We raised money through raffles, football boards, fundraisers like the donkey drop. That was so much fun when we used to do that. The golf scramble and the 200 club. The amount of money that the sideliners have put into the Woodsfield Monroe Central football programs is impressive. It's meant work and a commitment, but I wouldn't change a minute of it. Over the first 3 years that Daniel played in high school, CL would always say, "We should make a highlight video." So in 1990, I said, "I'm going to do that." I had a big old VHS camera on my shoulder, and I decided to not just do the football plays, but to chronicle the season and film all the practices, the pep rallies, the dinners, the games, and had no idea how to put it together. So fate kicked in again. I contacted Jim Beal at Shannon Sound and Video in St. Clairsville. He agreed to do the post editing as long as I would bring it to him with everything in a final package because he knew nothing about football. It was a long, tedious process of editing for me that took hours and hours and days and days. Several days with him making it finally turned out a final project. We showed it the first time at the banquet at Swiss Hills. Everybody loved it. It was a magical night. After Finn graduated, I felt that I couldn't stop because everybody loved it and kept saying, "Are you going to do another video?" Well, I've been doing the video for 35 years now. In the last several years, Jonathan has put them together. He does just as good a job as professionals at St. Clairsville when he puts them together. And he also takes pride in the final product. And I'm proud of the man he has become in doing so in coaching also. I'm proud of each and every one of the videos too. You can't replace those memories that each one of us holds for so many people. I've heard about the people who have watched them over and over again and how much people have enjoyed them through the years. And now that Jonathan has put them on YouTube, anybody can watch them at any time. This is very nice and comforting legacy for me. So fate has brought us all here tonight, just as fate brought me to Woodsfield and a friendship with Jay. One could say that he is the reason we all have these memories and love for the program. He claims to be born to Frank and Jerry Sarcosta, but I think he's their secret love child of Newt Rockney and Ruth Bader Ginsburg. He's a football genius and OCD about order and attention to detail. Jonathan reminds me of Jay. And I'm very proud of what Jonathan has done carrying on his traditions. My life has taken a sad turn for the last several years, but on the other hand, as you can see, fate has been kind to me in so many other ways. I am humbled tonight to think that I am being honored and recognized for being a Gopher for 55 years. I have loved my whole life here in Woodsfield, especially with these other talented men who are on the program with me tonight. It is truly an honor to be here. Thank you.
Great job, Jerry. Quick admin note, Dave Perkett, where you at?
Hey.
Sorry, I have to do this in front of everybody. It's going to be more later. All right, let's see, where are we at here? How about a coach? Now in the coaches category, we're going to induct one of our longest tenured and beloved assistant coaches and a great football mind, Coach C.L. Straw. C.L. is a graduate of Union Local High School and was actually Union Local's first quarterback when their program started in 1958. C.L. joined the Woodsfield football program in the late 1960s under head coach Bob Butts and remained there through the 1993 season when he accepted the Union Local superintendent job beginning in the 1994 school year. In addition to being an amazing football mind and coach, he was also famous for his intentionally corny analogies like quick like a bunny, get on your pony and ride, and damn seagulls. Here to induct Coach Straw in the class is 2024 Hall of Famer, former head Seminole Redskin and Seminole head football coach. Damn, we got to change your title. Jay Sarcosta.
Thank you very much, Cole. And before I get started introducing our next honoree, I would be remiss if I didn't say what I've said for many, many times. A big thank you to these guys that have started this whole thing ball rolling. The website, on the internet, the podcast, dinner like tonight or get together like tonight to honor and to start the Hall of Fame. It's just, they do so many things that are great for the program. And I said that every time we got together to do a podcast, and we did a lot of them in my basement, I said that, you guys are to be commended because what you are doing with all these things, you're restoring the legacy of Woodsfield and Monroe Central football that'll go on for years and years and years. And the nice thing about the podcast are when some of these young people hear about some of the history and legacy of the Woodsfield Monroe Central football program, when they can hear about the 1973 first undefeated season in the history. But they can go online, they can go to a podcast, and they can hear some of the guys that played on that team and talk about that 1973 season. So what these guys do, and I can't name them all, but what they do at this time, I think they deserve a round of applause. Thank you so much, guys. I appreciate that. And also, before I begin, I want to extend my congratulations to all those that are on the program tonight that are being honored in this second class of Woodsfield Monroe Central Football Hall of Fame. I have ties to every one of them, and I was looking at the list. I believe there are 14 on this list. And out of that 14, there are the honoree that you just heard from, Jerry Calder, as a contributor. And the next honoree that I have the honor to introduce as a coach. But the rest of the guys on that list are players. And out of that list, of 12 other guys on that list, I had the opportunity to coach 10 of them. And to me, that is an honor. So let me begin, and I am truly honored to be here this evening to present our next honoree, C.L. Straw, for his induction into the Woodsfield Monroe Central Football Hall of Fame. When I came to Woodsfield in 1968, as a newcomer and as an assistant coach, Coach C.L. Straw was the first guy that I met. And this started not only a career together in coaching for a long time, but it also was a lifelong friendship. CL was one of the best things that ever happened to me when I came here. At the time of my arrival in Woodsfield, CL and Chuck Briggs, another lifelong friend and coach, were serving as assistant coaches to Coach Bob Butts, who was the previous head coach. And they were both working at Ormet. So they were donating their time to coaching Woodsfield football. And by that I meant they didn't get any pay. At the time and after that, Coach Briggs started taking 2 weeks vacation in the summer so he could serve time coaching during the two-a-days. CL received his college degree from Ohio University. Following his graduation, CL began his teaching career at Midway. He spent time teaching, and the first stop was at the Mako School, 1981 to 89. And then he moved to become principal at his alma mater, which was mentioned earlier, Union Local High School, where he was a star quarterback for Coach Bob Leipel, which I knew very well, on the football team. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I believe they only lost one game that year, right, Coach?
Yes.
And that was the Martin Sperry, who had won like 30-some games in a row. And
We didn't lose. We got crushed.
yeah. Well, that was no shame, CL, because they had one good football team. But they had a good football team that year. Union Local, and CL was the quarterback. After being at Union Local, CL worked at both Harrison Board of Disabilities and Belmont and Harrison Career Center. And in between doing all those things and coaching football, he had found time to work at Knowlton Ford. And He also served on the OVAC Board of Directors. CL received his master's degree in guidance and counseling and administration from the University of Dayton. We actually made that trip. We had to go to Steubenville at the time. They had a branch there from the University of Dayton, but that was before all the new highway was built. We had to drive through all the little towns, you know, Powhatan, Shadyside, all those places all the way up the river. In 1971, CL was an assistant on my first coaching staff when I became head coach at Woodsville High School. CL served for over 20 years on the coaching staff at Woodsfield and Monroe Central. And during that time, he spent 17 years as the defensive coordinator. For those 17 years, his defensive teams were known for their stingy defenses. They were unbelievable. CL was an outstanding defensive coordinator and was respected as one of the best defensive coordinators anywhere. Under CL's direction, the defensive teams registered 41 shutouts. Also in that 17-year period, CL was the architect of the defense that allowed opponents less than a 10-yard point average for the year. 12 out of those 17 years. Think about that a little bit. A 10-point average in 12 out of 17 years, their opponents didn't score more than 10 points per game. The best defensive year was in 1973. In 1973, it was our first undefeated season, 10-0, and the defense registered 7 shutouts. And I believe we could have had another one, but I probably caused it not to be the 8th shutout because I substituted, and a lot of people were really pissed off because we didn't score. But 7 shutouts, and only gave up a total for the year now of 27 points. There were times throughout our coaching career when the other team would start to move the ball. And that's when I got a little bit nervous. And when they were moving the ball, I'd call CL over and I'd say, CL, you need to stop them. I don't give a shit how you stop them, but stop them. And he did, no doubt. CL was not only an excellent defensive coordinator, but he was a dedicated and loyal coach that did so much for the Redskin and Seminole football programs. Because assistant coach, I know because I served 3 years as an assistant coach, and I know how important assistant coaches are. Because one person can't do it by themselves. And to have dedicated and loyal people like CL was just unbelievable. He is without a doubt an outstanding and truly deserving nominee to be inducted into the second class of the Woodsfield Monroe Central Football Hall of Fame. So ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure and I present my good friend, Coach C.L. Straw, for induction into the second class of the Woodsfield Monroe Central Hall of Fame. And as CL is coming up, I'm going to stand up here while he says a few words, because we've always been close friends, and we're going to be close right now. Coach, congratulations.
I wasn't ready for this, but I've been a bullshitter all my life. And I probably come up with a couple good things to say. However, I shouldn't. And I don't think I will. But I want you all to know what a great pleasure and a great honor it's been to be a part of this program with Jay, a tremendous leader, a tremendous guy, and good to be around. He was so great with all the kids, what he did for them, what he did for the coaches. Second to none, without a doubt. With that said, thank you ever so much.
Congrats, Coach. All right, our next inductee is not with us tonight, but it is number 64, Joe Shoemaker. Joe played in the program from 1962 to 1965, primarily as an offensive and defensive tackle and occasional fullback. He was a 4-year letterman and is a testament to his versatility in the 1965 Bellsville game. Due to injuries, Joe stepped in at fullback and scored both touchdowns and both PATs, leading the Redskins to victory by a score of 16-0. Here to induct number 64, Joe Shoemaker, as 2024 Hall of Famer Lance LaFollette.
Told you I like to talk about football. Well, it's an honor for me to be able to present Joe Shoemaker for induction into the Woodsfield Monroe Central Football Hall of Fame. Joe's not able to be here with us this evening due to some health issues. He sends his sincere thanks to everyone for this honor. Some of Joe's teammates are here. One of Joe's teammates, John Kaiser, is here. Joe wanted to make special mention of that. His brother Sam will have a few words to say about his high school career. I just want to throw a few things out after Joe left Woodsfield because it was a long time ago. After high school, Joe went on to play collegiately at Salem College, where he left a big mark. He was a 4-year letterman, was selected All-Conference 2 times. He was selected All-American after his senior year. During his junior and senior year, he played both ways, which, as in college, a pretty big deal for a guy to play both ways every game. His junior year, he never came off the field. Joe was inducted into the Salem University Hall of Fame several years ago, and I was fortunate enough to get to go watch that. I'm pretty proud of my Uncle Joe. Joe still lives near Salem. He lives in Bridgeport, West Virginia. He's neighbors with an old friend and a teammate and a Woodsfield High School alumna, Mark Shoemaker. He's married to his beautiful college sweetheart, Bobby. Joe had 5 sisters, 3 brothers. His brothers, Dan Shoemaker and Sam Shoemaker, are here this evening. So here to accept the honor on Joe's behalf is his little brother, Sam Shoemaker.
I didn't write this part down, but as a kid growing up, I had 3 older brothers, and my goal in life was to be taller than Dan, stronger and tougher than Joe, and smarter than Mike. Mike was at the top of his class. Needless to say, my life's been a failure. All right. Good evening, everyone. It's my honor to be here to accept the Hall of Fame award for my brother Ernest. Yeah, Joe's legal name is Ernest Joseph. Okay. I spoke to Joe just this afternoon, and he was going over some things. Well, can you say this? Can you say this? Can you say that? So I tried to do a few of the things, not very much. Now, he is home now. He came home a couple days ago for the first time in about 4 or 5 months. He's been in some type of medical facility. He's got good prognosis. The doctors say he's on the road to recovery, so we hope and pray that that's true. And we're hoping maybe he can come back next year to give him an ad-lib thing. Okay, first of all, Joe wanted me to give a sincere thank you to all the Hall of Fame members and committee and anyone that was instrumental in his selection, and to the 2 coaches that helped him through high school, Aaron Miller and Dwayne Burton. Second of all, a brief recap of his high school career. He probably had more recognition and more honors during his junior year when he was playing with one of the best teams Woodsfield ever had at the time. They were 8-2, and playing with guys like John Kaiser and Tom Mondefeld. Joe's senior year was cut short after a season-ending shoulder surgery that happened during practice. Joe was actually moved to the backfield before his injury led the Redskins to a victory over rival Bellsville, where he was named the KFC Player of the Game. And I don't know what old Lance said about this, but Joe went on to play in the OVAC All-Star Game, was selected captain by his teammates, and then went on to Salem College, where he played both ways, and was later named the Small College All-American team. Finally, Joe wanted to be remembered as a hard worker. Okay, his preseason conditioning consisted of things like running up and down the steps of the old grandstand at the fairgrounds, and helping Norb Shoemaker put in hay. And Joe said that Norb always said he was the only guy he saw that would carry 2 bales in each hand and run uphill to put them on the wagon. Now, I didn't know it was probably uphill both ways, but Joe was a very stout man. Okay, that's what he liked to be remembered as, someone that was a hard worker. Okay, once again, on behalf of Joe and his family, I want to thank everyone, and God bless.
Okay, our next inductee is number 44, Kevin Davis. Kevin played in the program from 1975 to 1978. One of the program's true tough guys, Kevin was a 4-year letterman, a member of the 10-0 1976 team. He amassed nearly 2,000 rushing yards, scored 18 touchdowns. And as a defender, Kevin amassed an impressive 340 tackles, good enough for 9th all-time. Kevin was a 2-time All-OVAC first-teamer and 3-time All-PVC first-teamer. And as another example of how football binds us for life, during a Little League football game in the early 70s, where young Kevin broke off on a long run, he lost his pants. While watching him struggle to simultaneously run, hold onto the ball, fight off defenders, and hold his pants up all at once, fellow Hall of Famer Pat Singleton, who was watching from the stands that day, dubbed him Pants. And Pat still calls him that today. Here to induct number 44, Kevin Davis, is his daughter, Carly Davis. Carly.
He stole all my snacks I had. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor to introduce my dad, Kevin Davis. A 3-year starter at fullback and linebacker, Kevin was a cornerstone of the Woodsfield Redskins, playing a key role in their 1976 undefeated A-Beach State Championship. On offense, he rushed 322 times for 1,783 yards, averaging 5.5 yards per carry, and scored 18 touchdowns. On defense, he amassed 340 tackles, including 114 assisted tackles in 1978, and secured 2 interceptions. His punting was equally as impressive, averaging 32.5 yards per punt, with a total of 2,403 total punt yards. Kevin's name appears 11 times in the Redskins record books, holding spots from 3rd all times in 2-point conversions to 5th in single-season punt yards. His honors include all OVAC first-team selections in 1977 and 78, 3 All-PVC nods in 1978 Intelligencer Small School and second-team offense recognition. Together with his teammates, Kevin helped forge a golden era for Woodsfield football, creating a legacy that continues to inspire the community. Please join me in welcoming number 44, Kevin Davis.
Thanks again, Carly. Good evening, everyone. As I stand here before you, very humbled, with a heart full of gratitude, to be inducted to the Woodsfield High School Hall of Fame for my achievements. It's an honor beyond words. This recognition is not just about me, it's about the people who helped me along the way. First of all, I'd like to thank my coaches. From the first day I put on pads, they taught me discipline, toughness, and the value of hard work. They pushed me when I thought I had nothing left to give, and they believed in me when I didn't always believe in myself. Their lessons went far beyond the X's and O's of football. They were the lessons about life, teamwork, perseverance. And special thanks to Coach Mrs. C. Mrs. C was a second grade teacher. To my teammates, football is never an individual game. Whatever success I had was because I was surrounded by my brothers who had my back. The memories we created on Friday nights under those lights are ones I'll carry for me forever. Most importantly, I want to thank my family. My parents, thank you. The sacrifices, the rides, practice, for sitting in the stands through the rain, snow, cold, and instilling the values that shaped who I am. I'd like to recognize my family here tonight. My mom, or Martha, my sister, Karen, my significant other, Peggy, and last but not least, my presenter, Carly, my daughter-in-law, Michelle, Pat's Pride, Mr. Vincent, Stanley Davis, and Wesley Parker Davis. A couple other friends here with me tonight, Justin, Gary, and Sawyer. They're working on the pipeline and they're living out back in Andy Copley's. They've been great neighbors, friends. But finally, I'd like to Woodsfield High School and this community. Thank you for believing in me, cheering for me, and giving me a foundation to build upon. It's because of this small town, the schooling, these people that I stand here today. This Hall of Fame honor is not just my achievement. It belongs to everyone who played a role in my journey. From the bottom of my heart, thank you. KD 44.
All right, folks, at this time, we're going to give you a chance to get up and stretch, use the restroom, get a snack, something to drink. We'll take a 10-minute intermission. We'll come back at 10 after 8. All right, we'll go ahead and get the show back on the road here. Go ahead and grab your meatballs and your drinks in the back. Our next inductee this evening is number 44, Gabe Gordon. Gabe played in the program from 2000 to 2003. Gabe was a 3-year starter at running back and defensive back and is the program's all-time leader in punting yards with 4,163. As a power runner, he eclipsed the 1,000-yard mark in 2003 to go along with 13 touchdowns. Gabe also achieved the rare feat of earning All-Ohio honors for 3 consecutive seasons. Lastly, Gabe and his class have the rare distinction of being a part of teams to achieve double-digit wins, including the playoffs, in 3 consecutive seasons in 2001, 02, and 03. Here to induct number 44, Gabe Gordon, again, is 2024 Hall of Famer, Coach Jay Sirkowski.
Thank you, Cole. It is my distinct honor and pleasure to present Gabe Gordon to be inducted into the second class of the Woodsfield Monroe Central Football Hall of Fame. After graduating from Monroe Central High School in 2004, Gabe attended Geneva College, and my wife and I attended one of their games when he was playing at Geneva College. He attended Geneva College on a football scholarship. He studied business with a concentration in economics. During Gabe's junior year, he studied international economics in Europe. Gabe then came back to the United States and served in campus ministry for 4 years, 1 at his alma mater and 3 at Grove City College. Gabe's final step landed him working in a local real estate and investment company alongside the founder of that company, eventually marrying the founder's daughter, Eliza, making it a family business. In 2022, Gabe transitioned out of the family business to pursue his own business into real estate, investing, and business consulting. Today, Gabe owns his own business, own company, and spends most of his time managing international projects for the Peace Corps and helps clients buy and sell real estate. Gabe and his wife Eliza, and they are here tonight, live in Grove City with their 4 daughters, Lydia, 8, Claire, 6, Madeline, 3, and Abigail, 1. And also here tonight are Gabe's parents, Paul and Cindy Gordon. Gabe is deeply invested in his church and the community. Gabe was a 3-year starter as a running back, defensive back, and is Monroe Central's, as been mentioned, all-time leader in punting with 4,163 yards. Gabe was outstanding on both sides of the ball. Gabe was instrumental and played a huge part in leading the Noles from 2001 through 2003 to 32 regular season wins, 5 playoff trips, an undefeated season, and in 2002 an undefeated season, and in 2001 a regional championship, the only one. Gabe is the only Woodsfield Monroe Central football player that achieved the rare feat of earning All-Ohio, that's All-State, first team for 3 consecutive years. First year it was in 2001, he was special mention, and first team defense in 2002 and 2003. I think we have 20-some plaques in the entryway of the field house of our players that have been named to first team. You have to be first team to get a plaque up there, All-Ohio. And Gabe had the honor of being recognized 3 seasons of his playing time. Gabe was also named the Division V Defensive Player of the Year in both the state of Ohio and in the Eastern District. Gabe is ranked on 21 of the record list in the record book. He rushed for a total of 2,387 career yards and had a 6.3 average per carry, and also he had 26 touchdowns, rushing touchdowns. Gabe had 260 career tackles, 16 takeaways, 11 interceptions, 2 of those were for touchdowns, and a 6 fumble recoveries. Gabe played on 2 PVC championship teams and 1 OVAC championship team. He was also selected on the 2002-2003 All-Conference team and was selected to the PVC All-Conference team in 2001, 2002, and 2003. Gabe was selected to play in the OVAC All-Star game in 2004 between Ohio and West Virginia. Aside from all Gabe's accomplishments on the field, which were many, he has always been an individual, both when he's in high school and continued on, as a very much of a gentleman. He's been an individual of high integrity and a person that respects everybody. I can remember when he was in high school, he took time to talk to the little kids when he was playing, and that meant a lot to the program. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Gabe Gordon for induction into the 2nd class of the Woodsfield Monroe Central Football Hall of Fame.
Good evening. Thank you, Coach Acosta. Thanks for the introduction. Thank you, Hall of Fame Committee, for organizing this evening, and everyone else who made this possible. And thank you to my mom and dad for always supporting me in whatever I wanted to pursue, especially football. I remember asking to play football in 6th grade for the first time, and you were nervous I'd get hurt, even though I was bigger than everyone. That yes shaped much of my life. I can't begin to express how meaningful this community and this football program has been in my development and was my development as a young man. I'm proud to say I'm from here. This program has long been a pillar in our community, and I believe it will continue for many, many generations. The work ethic, teamwork, loyalty, camaraderie that football instills, these are timeless lessons, and maybe even more vital today than ever. One of my favorite memories is when Coach and the sideliners took our entire team to watch the Buckeyes play in the horseshoe. 100,000 people packed into the stadium, lit a fire in me. It gave me a vision of what could be, a glimpse of a world beyond our small town. Standing there at 16, I set a goal to play on that field one day. As you know, I never did. But what mattered wasn't reaching that dream. What mattered was that someone cared enough to expand my vision, to show us what was possible. Later, during my senior year, Coach Acosta went to bat for me in the recruiting process. There's one story that always stuck with me. A school where some of our players had gone before didn't have a spot for me. Coach Acosta was not happy because, as you know, Coach is used to getting what he asks for. But the way the story was told, when the recruiter called back the next year to see if there were any other players that would be good recruits, Coach said, if Gabe Gordon isn't good enough for your program, I won't have another player good enough. And he hung up on him. Now, I can't believe, I'm not sure if that's word for word true, but I believe it. That's the kind of loyalty our coaches show. In this program, you weren't just a number. You were a person. And this community looked out for you. Last night when our induction class was recognized, I ran into old friends, Chris and Lance, Dave English. Each one of them hugged me, looked me in the eye, and welcomed me home. Even after 20 years, even after living 200 miles away, I still have a place here. That's what makes this community special. This program may not be the biggest. We've had our ups and downs over the years, but I want to encourage the coaches, sideliners, and community, keep investing here. The work you do matters in the lives of young men and in the fabric of our community. Mark Twain once said, the two most important days in your life are the day you're born and the day you learn why. When I played here, I thought I was born to go to Ohio State, play in the NFL. That didn't happen. But what this program and this community gave to me is even more important. It was a foundation. A place to learn how to work hard, how to work together, and how to strive for something bigger than myself. So tonight, I want to say thank you to my coaches, past, and the coaches present today, for investing in me and countless other young men. To this community for always caring. And the Hall of Fame committee for this humble honor. It's a privilege to be inducted alongside so many great players. And it's an even greater privilege to call this place home. Thank you, God bless.
Thanks, Gabe. Our next inductee this evening is the first of two Linehauser brothers, number 53, Joe Linehauser. Joe played in the program from 1980 to 1983 and was a force to be reckoned with during his 4 seasons of Redskin football. Not only was he a blocker on offense for 1,000-yard rushers Parrish Yoho and Dave Perkett, defensively he proved to have a bloodhound's nose for the ball as he finished as the program's all-time leading tackler with 400 tackles. Here to induct number 53, Joe Linehauser, and say a few words on his behalf is his sister, Patty Carpenter.
Well, thanks to the committee for honoring both of my brothers tonight. A lot of you knew my dad, Fred Linehauser, passed away in 2016. He was known as the coin guy, you know. It would have brought him such great joy to be here tonight. I don't think he ever missed a game, no matter how remote the location. I taught Skyview for a while, and there's a lot of remote locations, and no matter how bad the weather, because you know football weather, can't predict. So I'm going to share a little bit about my brother Joe. We called him Joey growing up. He would never have that now. We grew up on Eastern Avenue. 8 siblings. Eastern Avenue is a kind of special place. You got to see the homecoming parades pass you by as you sat on the front porch swing. You could just walk down to the park, sit up on the hill as a kid and watch those football games on Friday nights. I grew up like that. But what really happened on Eastern Avenue was in the backyard, the fierce backyard competition. I think that's where my brothers got really tough. People said we had enough kids in our family to have our own team. There was some pretty fierce wiffle ball, dodgeball, volleyball, you name it. Let's say kick the can. All those things, and I'm not going to lie, there were some black eyes and broken bones that happened in the backyards on Eastern Avenue. Some pretty crazy snowball fights the Joris brothers would throw across the street. Yeah, I think that's where my brother Joe, in the backyards of Eastern Avenue, learned to be a really tough kid. I think we also did a little football here on the side. And one time, when my brother Joe was about 7 or 8 years old, a couple of my sisters and I took him down the street across from the football field where the Briggs and the Brodegards lived. There's this huge sled riding hill. And if you go fast enough down that sled riding hill, you're going to land in a creek. And back in those days, we didn't have all this professional gear to go out in the snow. You wore your blue jeans, your bell-bottom blue jeans, and they'd freeze and you have these bells at the bottom. You wore knit gloves, you didn't have the waterproof type. So we took Joe down there, and we got on this big toboggan sled. We hit this big rock that was jutting out of the snow, and everybody went flying. We all got up, and there's little Joe, probably a first grader. And I taught first graders the last 16 years. He was a little kid, and he wasn't moving. And we're like, "Are you okay, Joe?" Joe, he had that tough exterior. He didn't cry, he didn't complain, but we knew he was hurt, and we knew we were going to be in big trouble. We brought him over. So we're like, "Joe, you got to stand on that leg. Come on, you can do it." He's like, "I'll try." And he tried, and we're like, "Can you take a step?" Well, needless to say, we ended up pulling my brother Joe home on that sled, and sure enough, he broke his femur. Joe was a tough guy. Never complained. He's a tough kid, all right. I think, when you have that many older siblings, he was number 6 out of 8. Joe was also a humble and quiet kid. Back in those days, they started putting Reebok, Nike on your shirts, Joe, he would not have that. He's like, "Give me a plain t-shirt. I'm not walking around advertising somebody's, brand." Needless to say, Joe wouldn't be a great influencer these days. He'd say, "Just give me a plain shirt." Now, my older brother Fred, when he was in high school, we lived in that big old house on Eastern Avenue, and it had a big attic up there, and he set up a weightlifting station, and Joe kind of developed his own passion for weightlifting in high school. And I was told that my brother Joe held this record for the most tackles for years and years. I think it was like 400 tackles. I saw that list, and there's some pretty tough guys on that list. Gerald Burke, my friend Chris Kaler. So yeah, I just found that out about Joe. That's a pretty big thing. When Joe got older, a lot of you probably remember Al Hunt. He was very crucial in developing young kids in the sport community, and Joe helped him out. When he graduated from high school, Joe played 1 year at West Liberty, and I remember my mom and I helped him move into his dorm. But we had a sister who had moved to Arizona, and Joe kind of got the itch to do something different. So he transferred to Northern Arizona University and pursued a degree in exercise physiology. He served in the National Guard, and he was deployed to Saudi Arabia at the end of Desert Storm. And this is a letter he sent my sister Louise and I. We were living in Columbus at the time. And I'm going to tell you that my tough brother Joe saw some pretty horrific things over there in Saudi Arabia. And the letter goes on to kind of describe that experience there. While Joe was in the National Guard, he was exposed to boxing. And when he returned from his deployment, he met his future wife at a gym. She was an amateur bodybuilder. And they got married and they built their own gym from scratch. I guess I should say created their own gym from scratch. Iron gloves, boxing, which is still in existence now, and that's where Joe is. You know, when you own your own business, it's kind of a 24/7 thing. Joe is a licensed amateur boxing trainer. I've got to, his boxing gym is in Tempe, Arizona, near the Arizona State University. I've got to visit his gym a few times, and when you walk in there, it's a real mix. You get some college students that are in there. There was a couple former professional football players and basketball players in Joe's gym. And then there was this old police detective. It was a real mix of people. But when you go in Joe's gym, what you feel is a family. Joe and Renee never had any children, but they did have a passion for dogs. So you go in Joe's gym and he's got his dogs, and in the gym and the people in his gym, that's his family. It's a real family in that gym. There was a news reporter who did an article on Joe's gym. She said she did a one-on-one training with Linehaus. That's what she called him in the entire article, was Linehaus. And she said he just stood across from her with this grin. And when I looked in the little pamphlet tonight, boy, that Joe and that pamphlet looks really scary. But Joe has this little grin. When you walk in their gym, you see all these encouraging signs. On their business card, it says, "Fight your way to fitness." That's what they do. I know Joe wouldn't want a fuss made out of him. That's not who he is. He wouldn't want, a big deal made about his achievements. That Joe, he's a tough dude. He was number 53. He was an inside linebacker. He was a tackling and a fighting machine. And when I look at how he ended this letter to my sister and I, this is what he said. "Can you let me know what's going on there so I can take my mind off of what's happening here? And don't forget about me out here." Well, Joe, we have not forgotten you. We honor you tonight. I just want to thank you for honoring my brothers.
Thanks, Patty. Okay, our next inductee this evening is number 33, Eric Kramer. Eric played in the program from 1994 to 1997. Eric Kramer may be the most well-rounded player to have ever passed through the program. Eric excelled in all three phases of the game at 6 different positions. A 2-time 1,000-yard rusher, he also stepped in for 1 season at quarterback, a position he'd never played before, and threw for the second most passing yards in program history at the time. Eric also excelled as both a defensive end and a defensive back. He kicked 22 extra points and is the program's 3rd all-time leading punter. A 2-time All-Ohio selection, Eric was also invited to play in the 1998 OVAC All-Star Game. Here to induct number 33, Eric Kramer, is his brother and my lifelong friend, Staff Sergeant Jeremy Kramer, United States Army retired. Jeremy.
When they asked me to do this, I thought, hey, you're going to induct your brother into the Hall of Fame. And to me, I look around this room and there's more than one brother in here. So I've thought over the years and the times, I've called men in this room brother, men outside of this room brother, exactly what I meant by brother, all right? There's three men I speak of when I say brother in my heart. First, brother in Christ. Second, brother in arms. And third, my brother, Eric Kramer. If you're a brother in Christ, Matthew 12:50, and he stretched out his hand toward his disciples and said, "Here are my mother and my brothers. For whoever does his will of my Father, for whoever does the will of my Father in heaven is my brother and sister and mother." A lot of us in the military claim Isaiah 6:8 for our brothers in arms. I want people to understand brothers in arms don't mean destroying some. It means comrades in a struggle. I look around this room and I know a lot of brothers I've had in struggles on the football field and off. Cole, as a service member of another brother, I've seen in Kuwait, both of us in uniform. So there's more than just one brother in arms, but a comrade in the cause. But the one that makes Eric my brother is Proverbs 27:17. As iron sharpens iron, so a man sharpens countenance of his friend. Even though I call a lot of you brother, I only have one brother, and that's Eric Kramer. I'd like to induct my brother, Eric Kramer, in the 2025 Woodsville Monroe Central Hall of Fame. Please give him a round of applause.
Tough. A lot of friends, a lot of good memories, a lot of everything would bring us up here. Try to get some notes, obviously, that I would never thought in a million years that I've been here, for sure, by far. But I had a lot of good memories and everything for a long time. Well, I call time out. Yeah, obviously, for parents, mom and dad, very, very appreciative of them. Dad was 7 years constantly at every game except for one. One game he missed was actually a game that he wrecked his motorcycle going to. I think it was Shadyside. I think it was seventh grade year, Dad, or 8th grade year. I wasn't playing yet in high school, but still, but 7th grade. 7 years. That's pretty cool. Then Mom. Oh, keeping me straight. How'd that work out? Well, you helped.
You didn't like it either, did you?
No, I liked it. You kept me straight. I'm glad you didn't kill me when you found me at Bobby Diddle's house. Thank goodness.
You all remember Bobby Diddle's house?
Yeah. We all got that one. Jeremy, my brother, so much thanks to you that I've looked up to you for all these years. I'm going to try to beat you, I'm going to try to run you, I'm going to try to do everything to just beat my older brother. And that's what it is. That's what it's about. And that for me, got me here. And I love you and I thank you.
Me too.
Little sis. Well, I'm glad Jeremy wasn't around at the time. So I got to beat somebody. Thank goodness. You're probably a tough cookie. 2 big brothers, I guarantee it, you're a tough cookie. Guarantee it. I'll tell you, coaches, if it wasn't for teammates, coaches, there's no reason that I'd be standing up here at all. You know, football is a team sport by far. You know, if you slip, you fall, you whatever you want to do, it's a team sport, regardless. And I have one story that I'd like to say, and it brings me back. I don't know if I can get through it, but I'm gonna try. My sophomore year in high school, I got in trouble. Imagine that, I get in trouble. Well, make a long story short, I was sitting at the sheriff's office. And then here comes Mom. What did you do? And I'm in trouble. Make a long story short, if it wasn't for Coach Costa and Mrs. C, there would have been an issue that I probably wouldn't have been my sophomore year of playing football if it wasn't for them. I don't know if, I'm pretty sure you guys don't know that at all. Nobody knows that. But they took me into their house and I stayed with them for a little bit while. And I'm so grateful, and I will never ever forget what you guys did for me. And I appreciate that, bottom of my heart. Thank you both. Thank you guys.
Okay, our next inductee this evening is number 7, Michael Joris. Michael played in the program from 1999 to 2002. Michael was a 3-year starter at quarterback and was known for his high football acumen. Coupled with a strong, accurate arm and the size to run over defenders in the open field, he was the total package. Michael's 3,370 career passing yards are good enough for 3rd all time. Additionally, Michael was a leader on teams that achieved historic program successes, with the 2001 team winning the regional championship and the 2002 team achieving a 10-0 regular season. Here to induct number 7, Michael Joris, is his dad, 1976 Associated Press State Champion, Steve Joris.
It's my honor to introduce Michael Joris, Football Hall of Fame. Michael started playing football in 6th grade. Actually, it was several years that he asked to play. His mother and I could say no, but he was allowed to play. And he played tackle and end in 6th grade. In high school, junior high, he moved into quarterback, so he started playing quarterback in high school. Michael played all sports. He was very dedicated and worked hard in the weight room. I remember the times that we would pass the football and my hands would be bruised from him throwing me the football. And it got to the point where I'd say, make sure your buddies are here. They need to catch the football, Dad. He had a great group of friends and could always be found either at Spillman's house or at our house.
I remember the junior year when we played Bedford Chanel, John Spielman, Gene Brown, and I took stats. And when Bedford Chanel came out for warm-ups, John Spielman said, well, I won't say exactly. John Spielman came out and said, boy, this looks like a college team, which they were. But they had a hard-nosed group of kids. They didn't back down, and they were fun to watch. Drew and I have had great memories of Michael playing football. They were very good times. He and his wife Charity are raising 4 fantastic children. 3 girls, Jaden, Kennedy, and Kitty. And thank God they finally got a boy there. They are all very athletic and competitive. Michael and Charity have coached or are coaching them in various sports. This Hall of Fame induction is an honor to Michael. However, he is not the first member of his family to be inducted into the Hall of Fame, because Charity was inducted first. Michael went on to play college football at Mounts. Our family spent 4 years following that team, and we went to 3 national championship games that he played in. His freshman year, I'll never forget this, his freshman year, they had a scrimmage at Washington and Jefferson College in Washington, PA. And a wide receiver come up to me, and he said, Mr. George, your son has one of the strongest arms I've ever seen. He has a bright future. That receiver is Nick Sirianni, who's now the head coach at the Philadelphia Eagles. Congratulations, Mike.
I was going to say, in my speech, I had talked about, Coach Shacosta. Coach Shacosta is the one who taught me how to get emotional and cry. And I'm thinking now, maybe. Because I get it all the time. We'll take a knee before a game, and I'm crying during that prayer. Everybody knows that prayer. Still to this day. But, no, thanks, Dad. And I'll also say my wife, Charity, I told her, I said, I'm just going to go impromptu. I think I got enough passion about football and our community and our town that I can just do it. So I'm just going to wait. She's like, Michael, please don't. She's like, write something down. So I went Friday morning at work. And I just started typing, so here's what I got. But good evening, everyone. That's the first line. This is special. I'm very humbled to do this, but I wanted to kind of tie, I think I have a little bit of a different perspective, a little bit, because I've been through it, I've lived it. I also went to the next level and played it, but I'm also kind of still coaching it, just because I can't give it up. I mean, I love it. I love football. I love this community. I love this program. I love success for this community and this program. And I think, there's nothing better than small town football and tradition that we're able to uphold here. And it's very special. But anyways, tonight's one of those moments that make you want to pause and reflect, not just on the wins, the stats, and the trophies, but on the journey, right? The journey. The people, the memories are the most special. These memories shaped, who we are. Being inducted into the Hall of Fame is deeply humbling because this isn't just about football. That's the main thing about it. It's not about football. It's about small town football and small town tradition and small town Friday nights. Our tradition helped us provide a purpose and a brotherhood to what we did. It provided us strength under the lights on Friday night. Our town did, our tradition did. It also taught us lessons on the practice field. You know, you're working hard, you're sweating. Sometimes you're crying, sometimes you're battling, you're losing. On the practice field, you're losing. If you ain't losing on the practice field, you ain't practicing hard enough. But it's about honoring everyone. It's about honoring everyone that walked this road with me, with us. I'm going to say us a lot because I think, you know, this community, the Hall of Fame, you know, I can talk about myself, but it's really about us.
Yeah.
You know, I still remember the first time Dad mentioned it. I put the jersey over my shoulders. You know, 6th grade, I begged for a long time to play. But I wasn't allowed. Thank God for flag now, because Boone can play flag, but I wasn't allowed. But, you know, I was just a wide-eyed, nervous, hopeful kid full of dreams, really, with football. Didn't know much about it. I mean, you know, we're a football family. I knew football. I knew what was going on. But I didn't know what was going to happen. You know, the jersey was just fabric, but, you know, it was something that molded me, you know, early on. I didn't know what would happen or how, you know, where it would become, but really football has been one of my greatest teachers. Ultimately, it's been one of my greatest teachers, probably above all else. Football has taught me so many things. Teach me how to fight through adversity. You know, that's what we're trying to teach our kids right now on the football team what to do, is fight through adversity, right? How to lean on others, because we have a great community, we have a great foundation. Teaches you how to do that. How to rise and get up after you fail, because you do fail. But the biggest thing is, how do you get up? And most of all, how to be a part of something that's bigger than yourself, right? Something that's bigger than yourself, because that's what this is, right? That's what this night's about. That's what this is. It's my family, my wife Charity, and 4 incredible kids, which actually Dad introduced Charity. I think when it goes down to it, I think it just comes down to me picking out a good one. You know, she was very successful. She did a lot of great things. I'm very proud of her, but I try to claim reins. No, seriously. Thank you for being here tonight. You guys are my greatest team, and I'm very grateful for that. To my parents, thank you for giving me the chance to chase the dream. You know, you guys didn't just support me, you sacrificed for me. Football may have taught me discipline and grit, but you taught me love, commitment, and what it means to show up for someone. So thank you for that. Also, a special shout out, I got some grandparents here tonight. Very fortunate for these wonderful grandparents, but Paul Kraft and Sarah Kraft, and Kay George is here, so thank you for that. And everybody probably remembers the late, God rest his soul, Mike George, so it's very special. Thank you for that. To my coaches and my mentors, thank you for believing in us. Once again, I want to say us. Thank you for believing in us, pushing us, holding us accountable. You taught us how to win, and you created a passion for being successful, right? I think there's a skill in winning, and you taught us that. The lessons I learned under those Friday night lights, and those two-a-days, and those conditioning practices, have stayed with me through every challenge I've faced in my career and my personal life. To Coach Costa, thank you for being more than just a coach. Thank you for being a mentor, a leader, and a steady presence in the lives for so many young men, including me. You taught us that football was about more than just plays and points. It was about character, discipline, and heart. Your belief in me, even when times I doubted myself, helped me shape the man I've become. I'll never forget the way you held us accountable. You pushed us to be better. It was always about getting better, even when we won. Get better, right? And you celebrate us not for what we did on the field, but for who we're becoming off the field. Your impact reaches far beyond the scoreboard, and I'm proud to play football for you. To the community of Woodsfield, and all those who have supported our program, sideliners, football moms, community in general, you made high school football more than a game. You made it a legacy, you know. The Friday nights whenever I was in high school were unbelievable. The roar of the crowd, the tradition in our football team, the unity we felt. It was something I'll carry with me forever. And finally, the Hall of Fame isn't just mine. This Hall of Fame isn't just mine. It belongs to every teammate. I think I got Gabe. Gabe's here. TJ Stevens is here.
I'm here.
They're their teammates.
I wasn't on your team, but I was on your.
God bless you. That's right. That's right. That's right. That's what it's for. It's for every teammate, every coach who challenged us, and every fan who believed in us. Thank you for the incredible recognition, and I'm proud to be part of the Hall of Fame and this legacy. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Michael. And I think I failed to mention at the top of the program, if we could get all the Hall of Famers from both 2024 and 2025 to hang around after for some group photos, and then we'll cut you loose. Our next inductee this evening is number 20, Levi Brown. Levi played in the program from 2011 to 2014. During Levi's time in the program, he had a reputation for big play explosiveness and was a threat to score from anywhere on the field, evident in his 4,379 career all-purpose yards and 40 touchdowns. A two-time 1,000-yard rusher, Levi was also a talented ball hawk with 10 career interceptions. Here to induct number 20, Levi Brown, is his fellow class of 2025 inductee, Jerry Calder.
I was so honored when Levi called and asked me if I would do this. I was very honored. And I'd like to introduce him with a little Shakespearean melody. Kind of goes like this. Bad, bad Levi Brown, baddest man in the whole damn town, badder than old King Kong, meaner than a junkyard dog. Only the last line of that is actually incorrect. Levi was so much fun to be around. He was always in a good mood. He was always had a smile on his face. He was easy to coach. He was a great student in school. I was lucky to be his principal. As a matter of fact, while I was a principal, I walked in one day to gym class, and I saw Levi start in the one side of the gym. He ran and jumped over top, completely over top of another kid standing there like this. Now, look at Levi. Do you think he would be able to do that? Just look at him. He was one hell of an athlete. I was so fortunate to have him and all the kids, really, at Misty, Nicole, and Rochelle. They were all wonderful for me in high school. I think, maybe after this is over, CL, maybe you and I could try that where we jump over each other.
I'll do the jumping.
Okay, that sounds good. Yeah, you wouldn't want me landing on it, I guarantee. He was pound for pound the best athlete on the basketball floor or the football field. Many people underestimated him until they found out what he could do as soon as the kickoff started the game. I always thought when I came to Woodsfield that John Kaiser was one of the best athletes I ever saw. Sorry, John, your dad, John Kaiser. But Levi was right up there with him. I just want to give you a couple stats to show how versatile he was. His teams were 9-2, 7-3, 8-4, and 8-3 in his 4 years of school. That's pretty good. He had 40 touchdowns. He rushed 436 times for 2,908 yards. He received 52 receptions for 579 yards and 2 touchdowns. Kickoff return, 30 touches, 694 yards. Punt returns, 17 touches, 198 yards. Tackles, 48 assisted, 36 unassisted, 5 CBLs. Interceptions, 10, 2 for touchdowns. Passing, he even actually passed. He had one 55-yard pass for a touchdown. Wow. He was third in the record book with 4,379 all-purpose yards. He even punted. He had 36 punts for a 32-yard average. Now, what didn't he do? I think he got the water at the breaks and brought it out to everybody else on the breaks. So I still think of Levi as family. I'm really glad that he asked me to introduce him. So it gives me great pleasure to introduce Bad Levi Brown.
Adjust this down a little bit. I just want to start off and say thank you to Jerry for introducing me. I appreciate it. And about that touchdown pass, that, if anybody who actually watched it, it was a dunk. It was awful. So don't get me credit for that one. But also, I just want to say thank you to the committee. I actually didn't know this was a thing until I got a call from Michael Doris over there and texting Curtis. I didn't know that you guys were doing this, and I just think it's really cool and special. Another thing I found out tonight was that Jed over there, being a freshman in high school and being a big part of this, it's like, if we get more kids like him, it's like, we're going to be pretty well off. That's awesome. So, can we give a round of applause to Jed? And speaking of, Curtis over there, I was looking at the stats that he sent me whenever he texted me. And then I also looked at the program tonight, and I realized I might have messed up a little bit for him. In his stats, he's second all-time in single-season passing touchdowns. And there was one time whenever I stepped out on the 1-yard line on senior night to let somebody else get a touchdown, and well, I thought it was nice at the point. I guess I kind of screwed Curtis on that record. So, sorry about that. And another thing that kind of pointed out to, or I noticed whenever he texted me, what the stats were and all that, was just, it was pretty cool just to see everything being tracked. And all the effort that went into that is great. One thing I noticed for myself was just how many yards per carry I had. And I was like, man, why don't we run the ball more? Then I remember same guy over there, Michael George, was one of my offensive coordinators, and he was quarterback. So. But jokes aside, I'm just blessed for, having all my friends here, having my family. I appreciate everyone, and I'm very blessed to have all my friends that I play football with. We had a good time. That was the big thing, is that we had fun, and that's what really mattered to me. So that was great. And I also, I was blessed to have a great offensive line. They're pretty big. I was, a head shorter than everyone, so the linebackers couldn't see me whenever I come to the hole. So that helped me out with the, performing well. The other thing is, other players on my team were just fantastic. One of them, I remember we played Union Local my senior year, and Justin Kilburn, he was offensive tackle, defensive tackle, and he just completely wrecked this one kid, and that kid ended up being Colton Kivitz, which was, he now is the starting right tackle for the 49ers. So, it's like we have some pretty good athletes that come through, and, that can show, what they can do, so it's pretty great. And I just want to say thank you to all the coaches that I've had in my time.
they just knew how to utilize me and utilize everyone on the field. I mean, we didn't have too many players on our team, like much of any time that I was there, and it was really just nice to be able to be efficient whenever we played, and just, you know, sometimes they would go and I would get 2 carries and they'd throw me the ball because, hey, that was the best thing that they could do, and that's what we have just some great coaches around here, so I was very blessed to have that. Another thing is, I was blessed for all the lessons the coaches taught me. One lesson was to not ever play ignorance. My freshman year against Magnolia, Magnolia had the ball on about the 3-yard line, and they threw the ball. I was playing a corner. We were man-to-man. I was not pressed up against the guy. Scored a touchdown. They scored a touchdown. Came over to the sideline. Nick Sherman asked me, he was like, "Is that your man?" I was like, "Played ignorance," and I said, "I don't know." He didn't yell all the time, but then at that point in time, he grabbed me by the face mask and said every first word in the book. He's like, "You don't know?" I said, "You have to know." So I don't play ignorance anymore. Yeah, we had a great program, great sideliners. Everyone took care of us. You know, I mean, just seeing everyone that's here tonight. I mean, even like Brandon Tory Prickett over there. He took care. You know, he took care of us as a team, and he was one that whenever I separated my shoulder my senior year and told me I couldn't play because I couldn't raise my arm above my head, you know, he sat there and cried with me and all that stuff. So I'm just blessed for all the people around me, and you know, just blessed for my family. My parents attended every game. You know, my grandparents attended all the games, and hell, my senior year, even my dad was driving down from Pittsburgh and he didn't miss a game. So, you know, just driving multiple hours each way and all that. So, just want to say thank you, and yeah, thanks for having me.
Thanks, Levi. All right, we got 3 inductees left to go here. And our next inductee is number 22, Curtis Nixon. Curtis played in the program from 2010 to 2013. As a talented dual-threat quarterback, in 2013 he ran for 1,000 yards and passed for 1,500 yards, accounting for 30 touchdowns, 15 rushing and 15 passing. Curtis' story is one of resilience, as despite missing his junior season in 2012 to a torn ACL, he's still listed in the top 20 on 25 separate all-time lists in the program's record book. Here to induct number 22, Curtis Nixon, is his dad, early 70s great, Bad Brad Nixon.
First of all, I'd like to congratulate all the 21 Curtis asked me to make it short, so I'm not going to tell any stories, because I'm going to hear long stats and good short numbers. Today is about honoring those in our community that have excelled in the sport of football. I'm honored to be introducing another one of our outstanding athletes, Curtis Nixon. Curtis played his freshman year on special teams, his sophomore year as a receiver and running back. He missed his junior year because of an injury. His senior year, he was quarterback, running back, corner, and safety. The following are his rankings, using 49 years of statistics. You hear him talk about the record book. This is where I got the information. So it's over 49 years of statistics from 1972 to 2021. And since 2021, there have been some changes to the records and the rankings. So the following are Curtis' single season rankings. Ranked number 1 with 103 pass completions in a single season. Ranked number 1 with passing yards of 1,558 yards. Tucker Howell broke that last year. I can't tell you all the changes, but I knew that. Ranked number 2 in passing touchdowns with 15. Third with 5 2-point conversions, shared with 5 other players. He is 5th with completion average of 56.9%, 11th ranked with 247 yards in kickoff returns, 13th in total individual points of 117, 14th ranked total punt yards of 1,282 yards, 15th in the single season touchdowns with 15, along with 2 other players. The following are his career rankings, some of which also changed. He has a #1 ranking with a career pass completion percentage of 56.9%. Ranked 8th in passing yards in only 11 games, he passed 1,558 yards. 9th in rushing yards per carry with an average of 6.4 yards. 9th in career pass completions of 103. 10th in passing touchdowns of 15. 12th in kick return yards, 370 yards. 12th in career 2-point conversions with 5. 14th with 15.1 yards per completion. 15th in career touchdowns at 27 touchdowns. 15th in punting with an average of 31.2 yards. 16th in career total individual points with 183 points. 20th in 10 career takeaways. 20th in punt yards with 1,342 yards. 20th in rushing yards with 1,437 yards. And 20th with 2,199 all-purpose yards in his career. Curtis's senior season awards include All-State Special Mention, Associated Press, Eastern All-District Division 6 First Team, Big 22 Player of the Year candidate, All-Pioneer Valley Conference, First Team All-OVAC, All-Times Leader Team, 2 times Leader Athlete of the Week. Tonight's Curtis is being honored by being inducted into the Woodsfield Monroe Central Hall of Fame as a player, joining outstanding athletes and coaches from over the years. All players remember their coaches. I remember my senior year in 1971. Coach Sircosta, Coach First Plant. Curtis's sophomore year, Coach Sircosta had 300 wins. What a legacy. A couple of other coaches I remember are also being inducted tonight. Jerry Calder and C.L. Straw. Congratulations. They were coaching when I was a senior. Now Curtis is a coach, and he will also be remembered by players. Some that will no doubt be inducted into the Hall of Fame. Coaching will be part of his legacy, along with being a member of the Hall of Fame. I'm proud to introduce to you a new member of the 2025 Woodsfield Monroe Central Hall of Fame. My son, number 22, Curtis Nixon.
Good evening, everyone. First off, thank you to the Hall of Fame Committee and the voters for this opportunity. And thank you, Dad, for the introduction. It's an honor to be here tonight, to be inducted into the Football Hall of Fame, and to stand alongside so many greats who have worn the Redskin and Seminole helmet before me. When I think back on my time from 2010 to 2013, what comes to mind isn't really about the stats, the awards, or even the final scores. It's moments, memories, and the people who made them special. My journey took an unexpected turn before my junior year. Just 9 days before the first game, I tore my ACL, MCL, and meniscus. And at the time, it felt like my whole world was falling apart. But what I didn't know then was that injury would teach me more than any win ever could. The value of hard work, patience, and how to come back stronger. That season spent rehabbing changed how I approached the game, and maybe even life. Senior year, 2013, we came back as the Dirty 30s. Just 30 guys, but every one of us ready to fight for each other. We had one big goal. We wrote on the board when we made our team goals, leave a legacy. And we did just that. We made the playoffs at 7-3, and in the first round faced the undefeated Centerburg team on their home field. The atmosphere that night was unreal. Our crowd packed the stands, we battled on the field, and when the final whistle blew, we'd won 15-9. The first Monroe Central playoff win since 2003. That celebration on the sideline was something I'll carry with me forever. Although I couldn't have done any of this alone. Levi Brown, my brother on and off the field, who's also getting inducted tonight, very much deserved. They called us the two-headed dragon in a newspaper article. How can you have one head getting inducted and not the other, right? I wouldn't have wanted to share that back with anyone else. Brian Duffy, one of my best friends since we were kids, and still today, as he's going to stand next to me as my best man at my wedding. Duff was one of the most sure-handed, smart receivers I got to throw to. Mikey Jones, he was our defensive leader and an absolute animal on that side of the ball. Me and him always had an unspoken agreement that I'd do my best to handle our offense and he'd hold down the defense, and he certainly did his part on that. And Zach Joris, he started that 2013 season as QB1, but made a quick transition into a very dependable receiver. And of course, my offensive line, Justin Kilburn, Cordell Gowdy, Colton Robinson, Tanner Potts, and Marshall Mazzino. I appreciate you all more than you know. To my coaches, thank you for believing in me, challenging me, and teaching me the game and so much more. Coach Acosta, I can't thank you enough, not only for the coach you were to me, but the impact you've made on this community for so many years. Thank you. Coach Sherman, Coach John Perkins, Coach Josh Ishii, and Coach Spielman, who I've got to give a special mention to. I miss him very much. He believed in me before I even believed in myself. Coach Big Shoe and Coach Greg Shoemaker, who's also getting inducted tonight. I'll never forget you calming me down when I got hurt junior year. And Coach Doors, another inductee tonight, my offensive coordinator, who always jokes about taking credit for my stats, and probably wants credit for this Hall of Fame induction too. The truth is, I wouldn't be here without any of you coaches pushing me to be better every day at practice. And to my family, you guys are the reason I'm standing here tonight. Mom and Dad, thank you guys for everything. Driving me to practices, supporting me through injuries and rehab, cheering from the stands, and so much more. I can't thank you enough. My siblings, Bradford, Nick, Kyle, Courtney, and Chrissy. You guys always supported me and pushed me growing up, and I appreciate the love and support you always showed me throughout not only football, but life in general. My uncles, Rod LaFollette, Lance LaFollette, Bill Nixon, and Dave Prickett, who paved the way, the standout football players themselves, and Hall of Famers themselves. Aunt Susie, Aunt Nish, Aunt Angie, and Aunt Sally, the love and support you guys showed me never went unnoticed either. And my cousin, Tori Prickett, who I was fortunate enough to have on the sidelines as our team's athletic trainer my senior year. I remember before the playoff game against Centerburg, you gave me a Monroe Central cutoff from 2003 when you guys played Nelsonville, which is the last time you guys won a playoff game, and I wore it under my game gear for love against Centerburg. I'd say it worked. And my grandparents, Nanny and Papa McFadden, who always made sure I had a pool to jump into after hot practices. Thank you all for being my biggest fans on Friday nights. Football taught me so many life lessons that still matter to me today. How to work hard when no one's watching. How to handle setbacks, and how to be a part of something bigger than yourself. Now, as a coach, I get to pay that forward. To help the next group of young men learn what it means to wear that uniform, fight for each other, and create their own memories under the lights. This induction isn't just mine. It belongs to everyone who's been a part of my journey. My family, my teammates, the coaches, and the community as a whole. Thank you for every ride, every practice, every pep talk, every cheer from the stands. It's something I'll never forget. Thank you all so much for this honor. Roll Knowles.
Thanks, Curtis. Our next inductee is the second of two brothers. Number 44, Michael Linehauser. Mike played in the program in 1988 and again from 1990 to 91. During Mike's 3 years in the program, he played the game like a rampaging beast, highlighted by his knack for disrupting the quarterback-running back exchange. As a linebacker his junior and senior seasons, Mike proved that a nose for the football ran strong in the Linehauser family as he compiled 120 tackles and 18 CBLs in 1990 and 151 tackles, 22 CBLs, and 13 sacks in 1991. Mike was also a talented runner, amassing more than 1,300 career rushing yards and 18 touchdowns. A leader on the undefeated 10-0 1991 Nasty Boys team, Mike was named All-Ohio Second-Team Defense the senior season. Here to induct number 44, Mike Linehauser. Once again, head coach Jay Srikasta.
I'm actually substituting for Coach Sherman, who was initially going to be introducing Mike for this honor, and he unfortunately was unable to be here tonight. So he came to me and asked me if I would do that honor, and like any football player or coach that I've ever had any contact with, I always told him at the end of the season, if there's anything I can ever do for you, don't hesitate to come. I'll do it. And so I told him I'd be glad to introduce our next honoree. I'm honored to present Mike Linehauser, who traveled all the way from Arizona to be here tonight for this induction into the second class of the Woodsfield Monroe Central Football Hall of Fame. A lot of people don't really know that, but the house that I have lived in for 56 years was the house that Mike lived in as a young boy before he moved on Eastern Avenue. For years, they referred to Penn State as linebacker U, meaning that they had a lot of guys that went through Penn State that were outstanding linebackers. Mike was one of a long line of outstanding linebackers at Woodsfield and Monroe Central. During his 3 years of football, Mike played with reckless abandon. He was a true linebacker. Mike was not only a great linebacker, but he was also a hard, tough running, that was hard to tackle running back. During that 3 years, Mike's team won 28 games, including the 1991 team that was undefeated 10-0 and made it into the playoffs. In 1991, Mike anchored an awesome defense that only allowed 3.2 points per game. Individually, Mike had a phenomenal year with 151 tackles, 22 CBLs, and 13 sacks. In 2 years, Mike had 40 CBLs. For those of you that don't know what a CBL is, we term that being you catch somebody for a tackle behind the line, CBL. And he had 40 of those. Mike also had a standout year on offense that year. He rushed for 907 yards and 13 TDs and a 6.9 average per carry. And he wasn't the leading rusher on the team. Aside from carrying the ball, he was an excellent blocker for his teammate John Knowlton, who rushed for 1,598 yards and 21 touchdowns. Put those two together. Those are quite stats. Mike played on 2 PVC championship teams, 1990-91, and an OVAC championship in 90 and 91. In 1990, Mike was first team all-conference PVC and OVAC. In 1991, he was first team PVC and OVAC, first team defense, Division 5 Eastern District. In 1991, he was All-Ohio Division II second team. Mike was a quiet, young football player who did his talking by his action on the field with a high standard of play. Mike was also a very coachable player and definitely a team player. Last night, Mike and I stood on the sidelines and we had the opportunity to talk and reminisce about old times, and that was really enjoyable. I remember when Don Sloan from TV9 came out to Woodsfield to do our preseason preview. And I remember telling Don, I felt that we had the two best linebackers in the Ohio Valley. Both Mike and Steve Shoemaker proved that throughout the year to be very true. Also, another unique and unusual story that a lot of you may not have heard, a lot of people may not even know, was the year we played St. John's at Bel Air in an afternoon game, and on Saturday afternoon. Early in the week, Mike came to me and he said, "Coach, my sister's getting married in Columbus, and I have to go to the wedding." I said, "Mike, you can't miss a ball game, even for a wedding." I've always told my wife, I don't understand these people having weddings during football season, because I like to attend those weddings, but if we didn't win, I didn't want to go to a wedding. And ones that we did go to, we left early. Fortunately, we didn't have that many losses, so we could attend the wedding. Anyway, Mike's got the wedding in Columbus for his sister. So I said, "Mike, you can't miss a game, but give me about 24 hours to see if we can work something out." Fortunately for Coach Straw, he knew a person in St. Clairsville at Alderman's Airport that had a plane and was willing to fly Mike to Columbus. Wow. Now, this is a true story. So Mike ended up playing the first half at Bel Air against St. John's. And did he play? Oh, what a first half he had. Like was mentioned earlier, Mike, when we jumped into that 6-2 defense and he would get in the gap or over the guard, he would be in the backfield and almost be taking snaps for the quarterback. That's how quick he was. And he wasn't small, but that's how quick he was to get in there. So they flew Mike. He played the first half, had a hell of a first half. I don't know how many tackles he had, but he had a bunch, enough for the whole game. Anyway, we had somebody, he went in and took a shower, had somebody pick him up, drive him to St. Clairsville. He got on the plane and flew to Columbus. They had somebody there waiting in Columbus to pick him up. He drove him to the wedding, he made the wedding, and everything was good. And like I say, Mike had one hell of a game that first half and throughout the course of his career. What a linebacker. Ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to present to you Mike Linehauser for induction into the second class of the Woodsfield Monroe Central Football Hall of Fame.
Thanks, Coach. First of all, I want to thank everybody on the committee for thinking of me for this recognition. It was a surprise, very humble. I also want to congratulate the other inductees as well as the inductees last year. I know a lot of them. I've looked up to them. They're heroes to me. Congratulations to you. I don't get to come home very often, and I'm very excited to be here with friends and family. It's been a great weekend. Last night, I got to attend a football game, and it's been a while. And I thought I was late for this halftime celebration for the Hall of Famers. So I start running. I see Coach Singleton. I see Coach Acosta, and first thing he says is, "Are you ready to suit up?" And if these knees are a little better, I would be suiting up. It's hard to believe it's been 33 years since I moved away from Woodsfield. Woodsfield is always going to be my hometown. Switzerland of Ohio, a beautiful place, rolling hills. I've been in Arizona for about 19 years now, and I am a little homesick this time of year. It's football season. It's fall time, the leaves are falling. It's my favorite time of year in the state of Ohio, and I'm happy to be here. Coming home brings comfort, and it's like stepping into a place that shaped me. Family and friends and familiar faces bring a sense of belonging and a chance to reconnect with my friends. I also love to visit because it feels like a reset for me, a chance to step away from a busy work life in the city of Phoenix and get out of that routine. It helps me appreciate where I came from. I am proud to be from a small town and being part of this community. In a small town, almost everybody knows your name. I walked in McDonald's the other day and I heard Lighthouser like 4 times, but I didn't know who the hell they were. When I think of this community, I think of Friday Night Lights. The whole town shows up, not just for the game, but for each other. And when we win the game, no win belongs to one person, it belongs to this whole town. That's something I remember back in 1991 when I was a senior. That was one special team and a special time for me. For those that don't know me, I grew up in a big family, youngest of 8, 5 beautiful sisters, 2 brothers, 2 tough brothers. However, coming from a small town means you grow up with more than just family, you grow up with a community. The same people who cheered for me and my teammates on the field were the ones that taught me a lesson. God knows I needed some lessons. Some say I was ornery at times. I got in a little trouble too, by the way. But they showed me what it means to belong, to give back, carry pride, and just be yourself, and just be the best person you can be. In 1992, I left Woodsfield, Ohio for the University of Findlay. I was very fortunate to attend college there and continue that game I love. At Findlay, I was part of a team that won a national championship. Now, I didn't play much. I got beat up on a scout team that year, but I was part of that team. So that was a great opportunity for me. And I probably wouldn't have that opportunity if I didn't play football here in Woodsfield. From there, I decided to come closer to Woodsfield my sophomore year, so I attended Muskingum College for the rest of my career playing football. Another great opportunity with many memories and friends that will be my friends for the rest of my life. Eventually, I ended up in Cincinnati, Ohio, where I started a career in insurance. Yeah, very exciting, right? Just like many of us, I didn't know what I wanted to do after graduating. But one day, I just walked into a large building in Cincinnati and applied. Somehow, I got the job. But really, I was in Columbus and I was dating a girl in Cincinnati. And I decided I wanted to be closer to her. Well, the girl didn't last very long, but I've been doing insurance for about 25 years. I want to thank one of my friends and mentors from Cincinnati that's helped me in my career. Dan, thank you for being here. So tonight is about the people who helped me, not just in football, but in life. Those who stood by me with support and believed in me. People that lifted me up, coaches, teammates, friends, and family. I'm forever grateful. When I think back at the time in the Woodsfield program, it is always great memories and feelings that created so many fun stories to reminisce. It also brought me things that I took with me throughout my life after graduating. Football, in my opinion, helps develop traits that are often associated with maturity, resilience, teamwork, and leadership. Things that help you prepare for challenges in life beyond football. Discipline and responsibility. You're held accountable to your teammates, coaches, and yourself. You learn to show up on time, you follow instructions, and you push through fatigue and even injuries. I have been part of several teams in my career, and I thank football helping me to be successful in my career. Mental and physical toughness. Now, that's one of my favorites now. It tests you physically and mentally, taking hits, pushing through setbacks, and bouncing back from mistakes. Having 5 surgeries, and probably a few more in the future, it has created some challenges. I'm not as fast as I was, I'm not as strong as I was, and I don't play many sports anymore.
You're getting old.
Yeah, I am. But sometimes this brain thinks I can still play these sports.
I love you, man.
Love you too. However, I am still very active. I get in the weight room still, and I climb a lot of mountains out in Arizona, so that's my new sport. I would not change anything about playing the sport of football. Aches and pains are part of life. I would play football again, and that's who I am and something I love to do. Teamwork and brotherhood. Success in football depends on trust and unity. You learn that your effort affects everybody, not just yourself. It builds a bond that mirrors real-life relationships, loyalty, sacrifice, and goals. Another quality that's helped me in my job and my personal relationships. If you were a teammate of mine, and I haven't seen you in years, it doesn't matter. We'll pick up just like we did many, many years ago. Leadership and confidence, whether you're a captain or just doing your job on the field, football forces you to step up and make decisions and stay composed under pressure. I've had many leadership roles. I've been a manager at my job, and football has really helped me with so many unique personalities and difficult people. We don't always agree in this world, but we find ways to come together. So important in this world that we live in today. Finally, respect and humility. You face opponents who might beat you. It's hard for me to say. And you learn to respect them. You're Catholic. If you know me, you know I don't like to lose. I'm very competitive. I want to win everything. However, you see how much work greatness takes, which keeps you humble. Many people I have competed against are friends of mine today. You don't always win. You come out on the top, or the top honor, but it's important to maintain that respect and maintain that humility. Football is a foundation of many of these qualities. I now want to take a moment to thank people who made tonight possible. My family, thank you for being here. I know some of you came a ways to come see this. You don't know how much that means to me. Thank you, I love you. My dad, Fred Linehauser, the coin guy. Yeah, he's here in spirit tonight, I know it. He has a smile on his face. I hope he's proud of me. My dad absolutely loved football, and sometimes I think he was more excited when I played than I was. He never missed a game, and sometimes he even came to practice. I remember in that big house, and I used to listen to him talk to a few friends down in the living room about each game in detail. Wow. Some of it was good, some of it was bad. But it's something that motivated me. I really wanted my dad to be proud of me, and I did my best. I miss you, Dad, and thank you for your sacrifice, encouragement, and support over the years. My mom, Betty Linehauser. She turns 90 this January. She lives 10 minutes from me in Arizona. I see her 3-4 times a day. I just love my mom. See, my mom was a great athlete, if you didn't know that. She went to a prestigious school in Philadelphia called Villa Marie, a Catholic school. She was the captain of her basketball team and field hockey. Maybe that's where some of these Linehausers got their athletic ability. And when it comes to football, I have to mention Joe. Congratulations, Joe, for being inducted. It's an honor to be inducted with you. I wish you could be here with me. Thank you for being a role model in football and someone I could look up to. But man, that's some hard to follow, somebody like Joe. And I do thank him for toughening me up because he teased me quite a bit. I have some battle scars, but we won't take this jacket off. Joe was also a coach of mine back in youth football under Al Hunt. That was really cool. So let's thank some coaches of mine. You showed me value, discipline, and character. Al Hunt. You introduced me to football one day. My brother came in and said, "You're playing football. Pick out a jersey." We even went to Washington, D.C. to play a team, and we won. What a memory. Kenny Robinson. Thank you for introducing me to wrestling because I was a quiet kid that used to hide behind my mom's leg. I was a quiet kid, but Kenny got me going. And I thank Kenny for getting me into that aggressive nature. If it wasn't for that, I probably wouldn't have been as aggressive in football. So thank you, Kenny. Gary Hudson. What a character Gary Hudson was. Junior high coach. One thing about Gary is he chewed a lot of tobacco. And there was a trick that he would do saying, "Hey kid, catch." Well, you naturally want to catch on the practice field. You think a ball is coming your way. Yeah. But it wasn't a football, it was something else. And luckily, I never really caught it, but I can't say the same from some of my teammates.
Sherman's in there also.
I do. Coach Sherman. Probably one of my favorite coaches who made a big impact on me in junior high as well. I appreciate that relationship. I remember he came up with this thing like Ohio State had where you put the stickers on the helmet. There was a red sticker and there was a black sticker. Now I didn't care about the red sticker, it was the black sticker I wanted. So what was that black sticker? That was the hardest hit in the game. That's what I went for every time. Thanks, Coach. Coach Sam Shoemaker. Thank you for your motivation. I didn't play my sophomore year, and I remember starting at a scrimmage game against Strasburg. And I don't know, we were a little flat. Coach fired us up, and I'll tell you what, he got me going and transitioned me back into football. So thank you for getting me started again, Coach. Love you. Coach Singleton, thank you for your motivation. You didn't have to say much to me. I just look at you and I'm motivated. And I was number 44. Coach Singleton was 44. Greg Shoemaker was 44, and many, many others. There's a lot of expectation of wearing that number. That number will always be special to me. And my daughters say, why do you always put 44 in everything? Well, it's very special. Coach Straw, thank you for the opportunity for playing for you. The one memory I have is I was going through a little something, and he said, get in my car. We drove around, we talked about life in general. There was something going on, and I was being honest with him, and he believed me, and he stuck by me, and I'll never forget that. And finally, Coach Acosta, thank you for the opportunity to play. Thank you for your patience for an ornery guy like me. Thank you for your mentoring. And most of all, thank you for your love of the game and the love of your players. Thank you for making me a better player and setting me up for success on the field. And thank you for calling wing right, power right, or the Redskin special. I got pretty excited when I heard that call. So let's get into my friends and my teammates. You stood beside me through some wins, and just a few losses. But it was really sweet to share that with my teammates. Steve Shoemaker and John Knowlton. What can I say? These guys are brothers. We've been together since St. Sylvester's kindergarten, wrestling, we were the Bulldogs. We did it all together. If I played a sport, they were there with me. Moose, it was such an honor to be next to you playing linebacker. As a tandem, I appreciate the fear that we put throughout the Ohio Valley. Johnny Knowlton, there is nothing like watching you fly right past me like a cheated cat with grace. I was very honored to block for John. I don't know if you play fantasy football. We probably didn't really play it back then, but he'd be my #1 pick. Thank you, John. I appreciate your friendship. And I'm going to wrap this up. Lastly, I want to mention 3 of my other teammates. I miss them dearly. Joey Seidler, one of my best friends in high school, played with me. I miss you. Chad West, what a funny guy. He made me laugh. I miss you too. And finally, J.R. Young. I was a senior and he was a freshman. I came up with a name, Roly Poly. This guy was not afraid of anything. In practice, I like to crack heads a little bit, and he took me on, wasn't afraid. He'd get up, he was getting me better, and I found out he became one hell of a football player as well. God bless him. So I love the game of football. You won't find a bigger Pittsburgh Steelers fan right here. Well, Jack Lambert was my problem. That's my hero. You know Jack Lambert, I try to model myself after him. But at the end of the day, it comes down to the love of the game. Football shaped me, it challenged me, and blessed me in many ways. I carry that love forever. Thank you for letting me be part of the Woodsfield Redskin Monroe Central history. Go Noles. Thank you. That's it.
come back up here. Patty, is Patty still here? Patty, can you come up and join Mike, please? So we're gonna go off script here real quick because we have an opportunity to do something special. And I wish we could do this for every Hall of Famer, but like I said, it's an opportunity, so we have a chance to take advantage of it in this venue. Anybody that knows me knows that my hobby is researching and archiving Woodsfield and Monroe Central football, and once in a while when I come home, Coach Calder lets me go up in the attic at the field house and find whatever treasures might be buried up there, and I'll tell you, I'm just happier than pig and shit up there. But after the Linehauser brothers came up as inductees, I made one of these trips into the attic, and I found some treasures up there. So John Knowlton, who was a teammate of Mike's, and Dave Prickett, who was a teammate of Joe's, come on up here and show these treasures. Mike, don't hurt anybody with that thing. All right, we have one inductee. Back to clean up tonight, we got Greg Shoemaker, number 44. Greg played in the program from 1984 to 1987. A four-year letterman, Greg was considered a triple threat and excelled in all phases of the game. As a kicker, he is the program's all-time leader in field goals with 13. He compiled 265 career tackles, topped 1,000 rushing yards in 1986, and due to injury, fell just short 12 yards of achieving 1,000 yards as a senior in '87. Greg was a 1987 first-team All-Ohio selection and was invited to represent the Redskins in the '88 OVAC All-Star Game. Here to induct number 44, Greg Shoemaker, is his brother-in-law, class of 2024 Hall of Famer Lance Follett. Shane Nelson. Typo in the script, brother. Good evening.
My family moved here in the mid-1980s, and I still remember the first drive through Woodsfield. Every other house seemed to have kids playing football in the yard, or kids walking up and down the sidewalk tossing a little red football up in the air and catching it. Football was no big deal to me at the time. I had no real interest in it. I was a baseball kid. I would spend hours at our farm hitting the apples that were laying beneath Dad's apple tree with a ball bat and watching our dogs chase after them. That would all change, though, when my brother Billy went out for football and played for Coach Acosta and the Woodsfield Redskins. And I quickly picked a favorite player. There was this really rad number 44 in the backfield, and every time this guy touched the ball, he would punish the would-be tacklers. He was like a raging bull let out of the chute, and we just take off up and down the football field with the football. And then, of course, the roar of the crowd, leaping as though they had hot coals on the bleacher seats. And the football dads down in the end zone with their trampoline feet, hooping and hollering with a dangling cigarette from their lips, pointing a taunting finger at other dads from the opposing team, as if to say, "See, I told you so. I told you to watch out for the Shoemaker boy." My old man worked in the coal mine with a lot of the dads from the other teams like Shayside, St. John's and such. And of course, they would rib each other all through the week where we were playing. And he'd always tell them, "Hey, look out for number 44. You know, it's going to run over your kid." So there I was, sandwiched between two football moms, madly ringing their cowbells in both ears as I clinged desperately to my box of popcorn. And then the announcer, of course, Shoemaker in for the score. Strike up the band to a familiar tune, glance over to the opposing grandstands, and the look of defeat spread across their faces like a wildfire caused by the blaze of number 44. Knowing right there and then that their defense was in for a very long evening. The coach of the opposing team, his hands on his hips, a leading silhouette of a general with no answer to number 44. No fallback plan, no fallback game plan written across their white flag. His team licking their wounds until they can hightail back to the safety of the bus ride home. So come Saturday morning, I would grab my old white long john shirt and grab my markers and drew a big old 44 in red and did my best to spell shoemaker across the back. I took my dad's folded up hunting socks and I stuffed them in the shoulders of my makeshift football jersey. And I grabbed my Nerf football and went up to the field behind where we live. See, I put the socks in to make shoulder pads. I want to be big like Greg. So that was the only thing I could think of was to put my dad's hunting socks as my shoulder pads. So there was these old tires up there. And I stacked them on top of each other and pretended that that was like the Shayside Tigers defense or whatever team we played that week. And I'd hand the ball off to myself and plow through the tires pretending I was Greg. Where I'd take the ball and put it on this cheap plastic tee and practice my kickoffs or field goals, which essentially was kicking the ball over a nearby mobile home, which I'm sure the owners absolutely loved. I can only fathom what they were thinking every weekend, this weird little kid giving high fives to all his invisible teammates or performing imaginary tactics. Little did they know, I'm Greg Shoemaker, and I'm having the game of the century. I scored 12 touchdowns against a bunch of old rubber tires. And this kind of thing went on throughout my youth, whether it was playing on the old playground up the old Woodsfield Elementary at recess, where on any given day it was a classmate to the Volkswagen Beetle-sized holes in the blacktop, or backyard football games on Berkeley Street behind Patty and Mark Harrelson's house, where as many as 25 to 30 kids could show up with Kool-Aid stained lips and eye black ready to play. We're over at Bill Boland's field beneath the pines on Maple Avenue. That is until his Dalmatian dog would be let out to pee and come down and steal our football. And then that was the end of the game. Whoever was winning, well, he won the ball game. But all throughout my childhood, anytime I touched the football, instantly in my mind, I became Greg Shoemaker, flying my way through the defenders. Sometimes after the game, on Friday nights, we'd be waiting for Billy to take him home. Billy, that was my brother, he played with Greg. And if Greg came out of the locker room first, I'd yell out the pickup truck window, "Good game, Greg." And regardless if we won or got beat, he'd always give me a thumbs up and a thanks, buddy. Now that I throw the guy a Coca-Cola and he throw back his game-worn jersey like the old Beach commercial, you know. But when you're 8 and 9 years old, having your football hero give you a thumbs up or a wink of acknowledgement, that meant a lot to me. The moment that stands out in my mind the most is my brother's senior year. It was over at Meadowbrook. I remember it being one of those cold, mid to late October games, deep in the fourth quarter. Billy got hurt pretty bad. His ankle or his foot, and it was all wrapped up with ice. He was sitting on the bench in a lot of pain. And I remember during a timeout, Greg walking over to my brother Billy and putting his hand on his shoulder pads and giving him a pep talk, keeping his spirits up. And 40 years later, I can still remember that image. Two football titans of my youth battled and bruised in a hard-fought game. They showed me that Greg had a lot of character. He was a class act on and off the field. My brother passed away a few years ago, but when he'd come up to visit, we'd always talk about his playing days, especially for the Woodsfield Redskins. And he always said that Greg was not only the greatest running back that he'd played with or against, but that Greg was the best all-around athlete that he had been around. And that comes from someone who played for Valera and River and here in Woodsfield. And I agree with my brother. So, without further ado, it's my absolute honor and privilege to introduce and to induct into the Hall of Fame my friend, number 44, Greg Shoemaker.
Wow, thank you, Shane. There's a little story behind why I chose Shane to present me tonight. I'll give you a short version of it. There was a Facebook post a few years ago that Shane had put out about who he thought was the best running back of his time, his era. And it was very well written, as his speech was tonight. And I was reading through it and looked down, number one, Greg Shoemaker. I thought, Wow. All right, I got a fan. So, number 2, John Knowlton. Of course, I had to copy and paste it, send it to John just to. So, long story short, John Knowlton might be the self-proclaimed GOAT, but I think I'm the people's GOAT. Love you, Shane. Fantastic. Thank you very much. So, good evening, everyone. Standing here tonight is both humbling and surreal. To be inducted is an honor that goes far beyond individual recognition. It represents the teammates, coaches, family, and community who shaped me. To be recognized among such extraordinary group of individuals, past and present, is deeply meaningful, especially with the number of family members involved here and teammates is truly amazing. Football at its core is more than wins and losses. It's about discipline, resilience, teamwork, and the bonds you form under the Friday night lights. When I think back, I don't remember every play or every score. And I do remember the locker room laughter, the bus rides, the practices in the heat of August, and the trips we had to walk from the high school down to the city park, which was terrible, by the way. And the way we leaned on each other in the fourth quarter when the game was on the line. So first, I'd like to thank the committee for this incredible honor. The work you do to preserve the legacy of our sport is vital. I want to thank all of you for that. To my coaches, you pushed me harder than I ever thought I could go. You demanded excellence, but more importantly, you taught us how to be men of character. And that's one thing I will say, because I coached with Coach Acosta and all the other coaches for nearly 20 years. And I've always said this, we didn't coach football players. We coached boys to be men. The things we did in the locker room weren't just to be football players, because not very many of us went on to play at the next level. But we all knew how to take care of things and how to be men. And I thank you for that. And we weren't just athletes, we were men. The lessons about accountability, sacrifice, and perseverance still guide me every single day. To my parents, the real Hall of Famers.
Oh, real Hall of Famers, guaranteed.
I challenge you to find anybody, any parents that have 5 boys.
5.
To be first team All-State. It's a tribute to them and how that we were raised. For the rise to practice, the encouragement after tough games, and the belief you had in me long before I believed in myself. None of this would be possible without your love and support. Thank you, Mom and Dad. To my family in attendance, my wife Tanya, my daughters Molly and Maggie, my sister Angie, and of course, the 2-timer, Hall of Famer, Lance LaPaula. And those who couldn't be here tonight, especially my son Daniel, who I'm proud to say just got married last weekend, and my brother, and I forgot about my brother Johnny here tonight. Sorry, Johnny. You didn't sit at my table, so I'm not talking to you.
Sorry.
But this time I would like to recognize some of those who are the reason that I'm standing here this evening. So at this time, I'm going to go outside the box here. Please indulge me. I call you guys' name. Will you please come up? Number 20, Paul Robson. Number 33, Troy Kemp. Number 50, Rick Hyman. Number 58, Dale English. Number 61, Todd Hooper. Number 62, Tracy Craig. Number 63, Steve Kirkman. Number 68, Rusty Hyman.
I'd also like to mention number 10, Doug Taylor, number 22, Todd Weber, number 30, Paul Lane, number 32, Bill Leonard, rest in peace, number 34, Heath Lane, number 60, Chris Baker, number 66, Nick Hupp, number 72, Rich Mailer, number 84, Drew Demmerling, and number 86, John Jones. To my teammates, you are the reason I'm standing here. Football is the ultimate team sport, and nothing we accomplish could have been done alone. We bled together, sweated together, and celebrated together. Every name on the roster mattered. This honor belongs to us. So at this time, would you please give a round of applause to my Hall of Famers. Finally, to all the young athletes, know that this game can give you so much more than trophies and stats. It can teach you how to handle adversity, how to trust others, and how to work for something bigger than yourself. If you commit to the process, the lessons of football gives you will last a lifetime. I am deeply grateful for this honor. I accept it, not just for myself, but for every coach, every teammate, every fan, and every person who stood behind me along the way. It is not a final chapter, but a celebration of the road behind and a torch passed forward. Thank you.
Wow, Shane and Greg, I knew there was a reason we had you guys back in cleanup. Nice job. Way to bring us home. Real quick, I'll just mention one more time before we wrap it up here. If we could get the Hall of Famers, both 2024 and 2025, to hang back for some pictures, please. And just a couple thoughts. Class of 2025, your on-field exploits are now more than mere legend, more than stories told around a campfire with beer in hand, more than just an old newspaper article folded up in a scrapbook. Your exploits are now canonized and you're now enshrined in our Young Hall of Fame. You've more than earned the rings on your fingers that you'll get in the mail in a couple weeks. But when you wear those rings, remember that not only do you wear them for yourselves, but you also wear them for your teammates, your coaches, and this community. And no matter where you go or who you are with, you will be forever an ambassador of our football program. So wherever life might take you, play like a Redskin, play like a Knoll. Congratulations, fellas.